1, 2, 3.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. At our top story today, the new frontier, IT modernization and reaching escape velocity from IT legacy systems. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Mark Kalafsky and Sergio Dubois of Enterprise Iron, an advisory firm providing business and technology solutions. Mark, Sergio, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Great to meet you once again, Jeff.
Yeah,
it's great to being here, Jeff. Thanks.
Yeah, it's great to have you both. And we're going to be talking a lot about this new frontier and modernization. And Sergio, I want to start with you because I'm just going to roll off some buzzwords here. Artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, better customer service delivery, the high cost of maintenance of legacy systems. Why should an organization consider modernizing their IT infrastructure?
Well, Jeff, organizations live with a crippling amount of technical debt, and they have, while their competitors realize digital strategies and sail on ahead into that future, they're straddled with technical debt that stops the business from achieving the levels of self-service that they want. Their operational processes are more painful and manual than necessary. And, even the smallest change to the experience that impacts the legacy platform usually results in a very costly and long estimate of the effort to remediate it. And it puts the entirety of the operations at risk. So, organizations are very motivated to escape the gravitational pull of legacy systems.
And just to kind of follow up on that, what are some of the emerging trends in IT modernization, and how should businesses prepare for them? As I said at the onset, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, there's a lot of big trends coming down the pike. What are some of them, and how do businesses prepare for them?
Well, the trends include, as you say, artificial intelligence and data science, better data sciences and insights from data. And unfortunately, these organizations really can't get to that because they're straddled with the technical debt. So we ultimately want to help them sort of refinance that debt. Key to that is a methodology that allows them to iteratively contend with the reality of both, the old architecture and the new architecture at the same time, that these will have to coexist because it sometimes takes, months, if not years, to modernize an architecture platform. So as Mark can speak to that, there are some innovations that have come up in terms of how legacy code can be analyzed and converted, and that automatic translation is sort of key to escaping the legacy platform.
And Mark, he teed it up perfectly for you. And I just want to, for context, I grew up coding in COBOL, in C, and some of the other, I guess I'll say, legacy languages. And Sergio really did a good job. How can semantic code analysis and translation help businesses escape from these, legacy language prisons, I'm going to call them?
Yeah, okay. Jeff, I always appreciate when somebody says that, COBOL is a legacy language. COBOL was relatively new when I joined, and it was more of the assembler and those type of language, almost coding and machine code. So folks today can do lots of things and take advantage of things that are not procedural anymore, right? That are more object oriented and things that can be broken down into usable chunks. And that's, to me, one of the main pro modernization objects. It's a lot more easy or straightforward to take chunks of code, and we call that either four cornering or chunking, or there's lots of other terms that folks use, and you can look at the different procedures, extract them, and actually do some transformation where you not only translate line by line, but it's more of process by process. That is the biggest thing that I see is differently, and it's a totally different mindset for the legacy programmer like you and I.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to say that both of us are legacy, but I guess maybe both of us are legacy, kind of like COBOL. But you got to keep yourself fresh and updated. And I think obviously, Mark, you are, and so is Sergio. Sergio, I want to come to you because there's a cost associated with modernization, and today's a difficult environment. Let's face it, financially, we've got market volatility, especially among financial services firms. How do you convey the return on investment to key stakeholders when you're talking about modernization? Because I think on paper, you can see it, you have to do it, but there's a cost, and you have to convey what that cost will mean to the input and outputs of an organization.
I mean, the ROI has to be built with both the business and IT. To the business, the question is, what is the value of a customer experience that can more easily rise up to digital strategy aspirations, to be on web and mobile, to be improved and to drive greater customer satisfaction and retention. What's the value of IT, being able to turn around features and requests, in an agile fashion, and measured in days or hours compared to the protected responses that, legacy engineering teams respond with whenever they know that they have to touch that legacy code. So, and then ultimately, and this is quite scary for them right now, what's the value of having engineers that are still available to maintain and manage the business's core applications? I would say that's priceless, because when there are no engineers left to do it, it really will be priceless, right? Ultimately, you have to look at both the technology and business implications of this, and I think the case is pretty strong for that they've run out of time and they can no longer continue making interest payments on this technical debt.
Yeah, a really good point. It's one that I want to explore after the commercial break a little bit more. We come back, we'll talk more about semantic analysis, code translation, and a lot more. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network. Well, Sergio, Mark, thanks so much for staying with us. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2 this morning.
Thanks again.
Yeah, I'm glad I haven't chased anybody off. I'm still still over when it comes to that. Mark, I want to come to you because, we talked about my legacy coding skills in COBOL and C, and I was thinking during the commercial break about my own experiences with Y2K, and I think we all remember, those of us who are old enough remember the experience of going through Y2K. And these types of projects, modernization projects, whether it's Y2K or newer modernization projects, can be overwhelming. How do you effectively manage these projects to ensure that they're not overwhelming and you allay any concerns by stakeholders?
Great question, and one of the things that that's pretty interesting, because Sergio and I are right now we're building a modernization practice for Enterprise Iron. One of the things that we're doing, and I do a lot of the delivery work, is 25 years ago I built a Y2K factory back in the day, and it really, while lots of the factors have changed, the all of the formatting and how you run projects and everything, it's really the same. You got to be sure that you're starting at high visibility, high impact work where your bang for the buck is going to be good. You got to show some value early, and you've got to be able to show that the dollars that go in, as an IT person, you're always battling, lots of different areas for dollars. And one of the main drivers here is to show that the savings year over year you can get with modernizing platforms. And that may be, going to, getting off the mainframe, service buses, going to the cloud, moving things to COTS or other types of platforms. So there's just a plethora of things you can do. But to me, you're absolutely right, Jeff. It starts with that same Y2K mentality. Got to have something that works. It's got to be reliable, and it's got to be done cost effectively.
And just to follow up on that a little bit, Mark, I know you talked about the experience with EI, but do you have maybe another client success story? You don't have to name the client, but you can maybe just talk about kind of how you chunk it up. I'm going to call it chunk it up, and break and make sure that it's a successful implementation.
Yeah, so one of the things that really you've got to do is, depending on if you're using automation or not. If you're using automation, you can a lot of times ascertain through adept analysis. Sergio is great at this type of thing, to look at the old architecture and build something brandy new that is going to help lead things. So it's, as I mentioned before, containers and COTS and to the cloud, because a big bang implementation will not work here. I mean, these things are, if you do it right, and one of our clients really has a 5-year roadmap, there's no way you're going to hold things in UAT or QA, or put 5 years worth of work in a big bang implementation method. It's just not going to work. So it's a lot of thinking, and I know Sergio, myself, and a whole bunch of other team members are looking to do that, not only for specific clients, but just overall. How does this look like? Because I don't think very many people are addressing this, and that's somewhere where Enterprise Iron can certainly help organizations, especially ones where there's lots of intersection, a lot of interfaces, and external formats that may change or whatever. There's lots of products that are starting to address that. Nothing yet that we think is a one-stop silver bullet, but I think we're getting somewhere to there, especially with the low-code, no-code tools that are emerging.
Yeah, and Sergio, just to kind of pick that up, there are definitely challenges about any IT modernization project. Cost being one, Mark alluded to that. But what are some of the challenges, the common challenges faced in that transformation, and how do you overcome them?
Well, I think most customers find that getting started is always a huge challenge. Organizations can easily get into analysis paralysis, right? So our upfront business function analysis and assessment, it focuses on analyzing the legacy architecture, understanding the data and the intercomponent dependencies, right? And then enumerating the scope packages, right? Figuring out which portions of legacy applications to work on first, which data sets to migrate first, and establish a roadmap that sequences and incrementally builds functions out where the later packages are sequenced later so that the earlier packages are built and ready and build upon them, right? So there's a lot of lessons learned over the years, and one of them is to lead with the data first approach, where the modern architecture, you're going to build it from the bottom up, data, with the data service APIs, and then with those APIs in place, building business rule services above that and workflow services above that. So, but it does begin with the data, and that's, that really liberates the modernization team to work in parallel and to start building the new architecture. There's also a term we say lift, shift, and refactor to avoid, you need folks to avoid the temptation to merely translate the legacy functions and leave the application architecture as it is. The architects, need to refactor, not just translate. There's a term in the industry called JOBOL, or COBOL that's been translated line for line to Java, and that really doesn't do anyone any favors, because it's really far from optimal. It can be almost as hard to maintain as the legacy code was. So opportunities exist to employ platform as a service components like modern data services, rules engines, and workflows. So those are some of the things that we've learned. The key thing was already mentioned, is that the legacy and the modern architectures have to coexist, right? These transformations are going to take years, and it has to be that depending on the currency of the data, some data will be synchronized overnight. Others, there will be APIs that allow synchronization intraday, and other data sets themselves will actually require sort of a real-time thing. But you're going to be in that awkward stage during this transformation where part of the modern architecture is built and the legacy architecture needs to continue operating. And both of these things have to interoperate and be consistent and coherent.
Yeah, and Mark, I had never heard of the term JOBOL. That's another language that I probably don't want to learn. But if you're a IT manager or business manager, how do you keep abreast of all the latest trends, especially around new code availability, modernization, and also how do you just stay ahead of the curve technologically? It's so difficult, I think, to manage a business day to day, and then also kind of know the latest and greatest things to incorporate into your IT infrastructure.
Yeah, that's where companies like us really provide assistance. Recently we just got a roadmap from one of our large customers that said, here, I've got this, I have no idea what to do with it. Make it actionable for me, please. And we started at taking the top 10 areas that one of the larger consulting firms put together, but really had nothing underneath. So we've got folks, my comrade there, Sergio, is one of the more voracious readers that I know. And, we really, we constantly are, getting together, whether formally or informally, to talk about what's going on at some of our other clients, because we've got clients both in the public and private sector, large and medium-sized firms that are all doing some cool stuff, but I don't know of anybody that would be doing it the way that we would had we received a blank slate. It's it's a matter of try and buy. In some cases, we get lots of chances to look at new software because some of the larger software firms know that Enterprise Iron's got a good name, been around for 21, 22 maybe years now, where we're especially in the financial services realm, we're at the forefront of talking to these managers every day. We don't talk at an abstract level. Sergio and I and the rest of our team really are get down to the nitty gritty. And I think I'm not suggesting that abstract work and advice is not a good thing, but when it comes down to it, that doesn't win the day in terms of performing any modernization. So it's firms like ours that really are going to lead the way, and I firmly believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. You're in the trenches every day. You're rolling up your sleeves, doing the work. You have a feel for what's happening. And let's face it, IT, it's a very, very dynamic world. And by the way, the financial services world, very dynamic as well. Mark, Sergio, great to talk to you as always. Thanks so much for joining us. And we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news on lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content, or visit our website. We're back again tomorrow with another edition of BRN AM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving. And don't forget, roll with the changes.
Waiting here for you to take and drink of. But if you're tired of the same old,
Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.